Did you ring in the new year with a champagne toast and then swear that was going to be your last drink for the rest of the month? Well, lots of people commit to dry January. Seeing it through to the very last day can be tough, though, with many going back within the first week.
And joining us now with how to stick to your challenge, even if it ends up being a damp January, is psychologist Peter Economou. Thanks so much, Peter, for joining us.
Happy to be here.
Okay, let's talk about dry January. Why is the first week often considered the hardest?
Well, change is hard. I mean, I think a lot of people can recognize that they don't really love change. And so that commitment of that, I mean, the other thing that happens is people just had the holidays where I've had lots of clients being in December where they're a little bit more gluttonous, engaging in eating a little less healthy and drinking a little bit more. So that shift is like really extreme. And so one of the things we'll look at is how to do this in a moderate way. Because none of those things work when we make those New Year's resolutions. They just don't work.
So I'm curious, what's the hardest day for people to get used to this? And then how long until they actually start to see some benefits?
Well, I mean, there's all mixed research on this. I think a lot of us have become familiar and around habits. And so sometimes it's anywhere from like 3 to 30 days that a habit becomes a change of behavior. So it just, what we do in mindfulness is just one day, one day, one drink, just start today. So there's not necessarily one day that's harder than the other. And there might be days, and that was the damp thing you mentioned at the onset, where you feel a little bit more, pulled to have a drink or maybe to get off of this. But, when it's fully abstinent, that also can create some challenges, and behaviorally we don't stick to it as much.
Yeah, Peter, how healthy is this in the long run? Because I have heard of people who'll do dry January, then come February, they party hard because they're like, oh my God, I didn't drink all of January. I'm going to treat myself. Exactly. So, what's your advice to kind of making this into a lifestyle and like not to undo the benefits in February?
Yeah, you don't want to bank. You don't want to bank drinks. You don't want to reward yourself. I mean, I think a lot of that's the other thing that people do in February. I feel so proud that I did this in January, so I'm going to reward February.
Right.
It does undo a lot of what we've just worked to do. It comes back to moderation again, and there's lots of benefits. I think the Times did an article recently on JOMO. It was always FOMO, fear of missing out, and so now with this focus on well-being and intent, there's joy of missing out. So we actually, with intention, take action to maybe not engage in social activities because especially in New York, a lot of social activities involve alcohol.
Yeah, but to Natasha's point, I mean, if you do damp January and you kind of lean in a little bit, but you don't go the full dry January, I would imagine you would still see some measurable benefit.
I would agree with you. I do think we would see benefits because moderation is key. I don't believe, and there's lots of research on this around people that are maybe in recovery. If there is moderate drinking programs where you want to just have balance. So some things I'll say to clients is like, what are you thinking about when you're taking a shot, for example? There's nothing really mindful about it. But what about if you weave in, water and a night out where you don't drink? And so finding that moderate way of living is not always easy in New York, but would be key in this damp January.
And last question for you. Over the weekend, I learned about this new app called Try Dry. So there are resources you can use to keep you accountable. Do you have any advice on that?
Accountability is great. I think if you can have a system in place that is holding you accountable, that will help. I mean, it does help for success around a lot of behavioral change, whether it's weight, alcohol consumption, exercise. The key is just because it's January doesn't mean you have to turn a page. You can turn a page tomorrow. You can turn a page in March or April. You can make a commitment to a new behavior and your well-being any day. And an app or any kind of accountability is absolutely a good part of that.
Good. So we didn't miss the boat if we didn't start on the first.
Exactly.
All right, Dr. Peter, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Have a great night.